So, who have we got today then, Nick?
So today, Jem, we have business owner of 23 years. I would call her the queen of aromatherapy.
I know who it is.
I know, of course you know who it is. Without further ado, we're introducing from Aromatic Answers, Donna Walker.
Ooh, good morning,
Hello.
Donna.
Morning,
Hello,
Donna.
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm nervous, but I'm here
It's amazing. You've only spoken to us about 100 times.
this week.
Yeah, this week.
It's only Thursday.
All right, Donna, you've heard how we work here. You've heard previous episodes. Let's go back to school.
Okay.
So Donna Walker grew up in Ipswich.
No.
Okay.
So I was born in Cookfield and grew up in Horsham and Crawley.
Okay.
My schooling years, primary school was Horsham, then we moved to Crawley. And my parents divorced when I was 5, so that was a big change. And my mum and my stepdad, years on, sort of when I was about 9, decided they were going to move house, and it meant me changing schools again. So I settled into a new junior school with my mum and my stepdad had grand ideas of me going to the school opposite where our new home was. But I'd been to another school and I'd made friends with lots of other people, and they were going to a school called Ifield. And Ifield happened to be the worst school in the whole area. It was the school that would take all the people that had been expelled.
Is that in Crawley?
In Crawley.
Okay.
Yeah. And my poor parents, they did a house swap because they had a council house and they moved area to get me into Holy Trinity, which was the one opposite our house. But I'd made all these new friends and I was quite insistent that I didn't want to go to Holy Trinity.
Well, at that age, you want to stay with people
Absolutely. I'd had a whole year making new friendships. And 90% of those people were actually going to Ifield. So although it was about a 5-mile walk, I had the conversation with my parents that I desperately wanted to go to Ifield. They were mortified because they'd moved home and put themselves on the council house, swap house list. And
On a totally unrelated matter, Jem,
Yeah.
how did your parents feel when you said you wanted to go to Stoke?
They were so proud.
Okay, good. Anyway, yeah, go on. Carry on, Donna.
And I challenged my parents, my mum and my stepdad, and just said, well, if I'm happy in school, then I'm going to do well wherever I go.
Mm.
Things were quite tight financially. And my mum said, well, we can get you a Clipper card, which was a bus ticket. The driver would stamp a little hole in each time you use it. And he had 10 rides on it, but they could only afford to do 1 a month. So it was for me to discern when I needed to use it.
Yeah.
So when it was snowing, yes, I did.
Other than that, you'll walk it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I loved roller skating. So I roller skated to school and back. So,
Amazing.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a movie. You know, when you see in movies where people put their little roller skates on and they're skating down the street and
Or like Kevin McCall, or
Singing.
Kevin what's his face from Home Alone, where he's there with his little hat on and like off he goes to like the shops and stuff. Okay, so was school something you thrived, something that you couldn't wait to get out of?
I enjoyed school. I was quite compliant and a rule follower, so I did okay in school.
Okay.
Friendships-wise, things were really good. And then somebody really kicked me hard up the backside.
Okay.
And it's because they thought I was dating someone and I wasn't. That was a real shocker. I had not experienced any bullying or anything like that. But that was a really hard day, actually, because it really hurt. But yeah, that was that.
I guess it wasn't like uncommon at Ifields, though, right?
No, that was quite tame behaviour.
Yeah, I was going to say
actually.
Holy Trinity. So you had 5 years of like being with your friends, but had to take like a kick.
Yeah.
Versus
literally.
having like 5 years at Holy Trinity, where you probably wouldn't have had friends for however long.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
But for that kind of school, I guess you came out really well because for that to just be your biggest, oh no, I had a bit of a, what's the implicate? No, is that the right word? Implication?
Altercation.
That's what I'm thinking. There must have been so much more going on other than that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So out of school, GCSEs?
Did okay with my GCSEs, yeah. I had the option to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have that careers interview as you nearly
What did you come out as?
On my careers interview? No, I told them.
Oh, okay. What did you tell them you wanted to be?
I told them I wanted to be a ski instructor.
Nice.
And they looked in their filing cabinet and they didn't have any paperwork.
They don't have the book for ski instructor. Never mind, look, we've got vet. Have that instead.
So I was offered secretary oh God.
Similar.
So close, right?
Yeah.
Oh, two, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what the other one was, but I'm a researcher, and I'd already researched what I wanted to do, and I'd written off to BASI, the British Association.
Please tell me you spent the first 5-10 years of your life as a ski instructor.
I went to France, and
So didn't know this.
I wish you guys could see Nick's face right now.
But no, here's the hilarious thing. So I left school, had the opportunity of going to college to do COTAC and COTOP, which was tour operator, travel agency and tour operator training. And I knew I wanted to go into travel because all my family had been, the biggest employer in our area was Gatwick. So all my uncles worked for the airlines. My mum worked for British Airports Authority. And so, it was a big thing for us as a family. And I loved travelling. So I had this opportunity. And then what then happened is I got an interview for Pound Stretcher, which was a British Airways company. And I actually got offered the job. And I was like, Mum, I don't know what to do. I'd been offered my college place, but that would have been going on a public bus to Red Hill every day.
Yeah.
Or I could start working around the corner for Pound Stretcher, and they were going to give me the British Airways training. So I took the Pound Stretcher job and I passed. We had to learn all those 3-letter codes, like Gatwick is LGW and Heathrow is LHR. Well, all the Canadian ones begin with a Y. That's sensible, isn't it?
Oh,
so they took ages they took ages to learn, but we got exams and passed everything. And then I did my fares and ticketing with them. And then I got made redundant.
Oh. What?
So I passed my probation. I had my interview that said I passed my probation on the Friday. And then 2 weeks later, we were called into the office and our whole intake, I think there was 13 of us, we all got shelved. Just like that.
No.
So all my colleagues decided they were going up the pub in the lunch hour because they were really hacked off, really, and so they were going to go and have a few drinks. And they invited me. I said, no. I went next door. I went to Air Miles, the building next door, and said to the lady on reception, are there any vacancies? And she said, bear with me. She said, give me a minute. So she made a phone call. Have you got half an hour? I said, yeah. So I had an interview in the lunch hour. Everyone else had
gone to the pub.
And when they came back and I came back, I had a job offer and they'd just been moaning about it. So
that's amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So in some ways, I guess I'm a bit of a doer. But
well, it shows,
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
So was it Air Miles that sent you off to France?
No, I worked for Air Miles and then I had the opportunity. I'd skied with this company called the Ski Company a number of times as a client. So I started work when I was 12 at an old people's home, but I only ever worked to earn money to ski. That was my main motivation. And I had this grand idea that I wanted to be a ski instructor. And I didn't go over to train as a ski instructor. I went for like personal performance training with the view of training there was the opportunity to do an exam at the end of it. And I chalet maided my way through that because I couldn't afford to do the training. So I negotiated chalet maiding to get out on the slopes and do my skiing. And honestly, it was the first 3 or 4 days. Decided I didn't want to be a ski instructor anymore. And that's because as an instructor, you put your classes back to the elements. Now, when people have paid, even back then, it was like £400 or £500 to go skiing for a week.
Yeah.
We're going back 20 odd years. People were skiing in the rain and the snow and the sleet. They're going to ski because they paid for it.
Yeah.
But as an instructor, you take the elements full on in your face. And I soon established I was a fair weather ski instructor. I was a fair weather skier and, I had the conversation. I didn't ever do the exam.
Okay.
There was no point spending £1,000 for an exam, a certificate I'd never use. But I did stay out there for the season and I did still do all the training. And we had mountain rescue training and everything. It was fascinating.
So have you skied in like places all around the world?
No, mainly Europe. I had planned to ski in New Zealand. My mum was living in New Zealand for 7 years. And when I came back from skiing, I walked back into my job at Air Miles, which was very fortunate. So I worked for British Airways for about 10 years. And I could fly down to New Zealand for £110 back then. And my mum was ill with breast cancer and she was having a biopsy. So I literally went to New Zealand for a weekend once.
As you do.
Yes, you did. But I was young. You can do it then.
Just quickly pop over.
I was just going to pop over to New Zealand.
For the weekend, yeah.
So I spoke to my boss and said, can I get on tonight's flight? So they said yes. And we worked out times I could come back in on Tuesday morning, basically. So I did fly to New Zealand for a weekend once in my life.
Wow.
So where's the best skiing in Europe?
I would say the Three Valleys in France.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you still ski now?
I have
currently?
done. The last time I skied, so I had viral meningitis 13 years ago, and it affected my inner ear and my balance, but also I couldn't cope with noise or vibration.
Yeah.
So I had to have some intracranial surgery. So my first skiing after I had that surgery was quite interesting because my brain was recalibrating life.
Course.
And whilst it had learnt to recalibrate going to the supermarket, driving to and from work, your normal
your basic day-to-day,
it hadn't recalibrated expansive panoramic views. So I was feeling sick and and so I last skied 10 years ago.
Okay.
But thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, 12 years ago because it was my 40th birthday. I went skiing with the family.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've gone back to air miles now.
Yeah.
This is where we are in the
career
progression.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
Sorry,
Great.
we got excited.
That was great.
Right, yeah.
So you're back at air miles now.
Yeah.
So where does that take you to next?
I then went to a company called Aviation, or they were abbreviated as Avia-Reps.
Okay.
Aviation Representation UK Limited. And that, I loved the job. Absolutely loved it.
So what did you do there?
Twister, innit?
I know.
That's why they abbreviated it, I think.
So they provided UK representation for foreign airlines. So I represented Air Madagascar, Air Seychelles, Transavia, the Dutch airline, Eurowings, the German airline. And before I had my head surgery and then meningitis, my brain was pretty good. And I'm proud that you guys are going to laugh at this because you know how I am now. Just give me a body.
I'm not making a comment.
I just tech. I'm a bit all over the place. But I used to, the British Airways system was called BABS. And that was their booking system. They had their own coding for booking passengers on in reservations. South African Airlines or Air Madagascar was under the SARS system. So I used to dip in and out, like F1 on my keyboard would take me to British Airways and I'd know all the coding to book people and book their vegetarian meals or their cellos if they're taking the cello with them for the extra seats. And then I'd dip into Eurowings, which was Amadeus, which was a German system. So I was flying between...
So I was press F2 for that one.
F2.
For that one.
So I was running 7 airline systems.
Can you believe this is a Donna that we know today? Going in and out of all this technology.
No.
And I was fast, That bit I could do. The one thing I really struggled with, I'm going back to when I then got a job with GB Airways and I watched my salary go up 4 negotiations in a 24-hour period because I'd given notice at Avia-Reps to then go and work at GB Airways. Told Avia-Reps I'd got my job at GB and then they said, what are they offering you? We'll match it. So I then went back to GB and said, oh, look, I'm going to stay. They said, what are they offering me? We're going to match it. So I watched my salary. Back then, I think it went up about £4,500 when we're going back. I was only in my early 20s. So yeah.
God, what a feeling though.
It was really nice. Yeah.
Wow.
But we used to have to do tickets, print off our ticket runs because we were IATA agents. And all my colleagues could do this ordering and sequencing of these codes for the tickets to print them off really fast. Me, I would go in at 7 and I'd still be doing it at lunchtime. And I never fully understood why they could do it so much faster. Fast forward to a year ago, I found out that I'm Merlin and I needed yellow lenses. But it only makes sense now to how, but actually my skiing gave me the clues because when did I go skiing first? Senior school. So I would have been 12, 13, my first ski trip. It was the 80s. I had a pale pink, nice ski suit, white goggles with pink lenses because they had to match,
Obviously.
And then a couple of years later, I went skiing again. I'd outgrown the pink and I was going for bright yellow.
Yeah.
I had black rim on my goggles, but with yellow lenses. Oh my God. The snow.
And it makes sense.
The snow had more depth and perception and it meant I could ski it better knowing the ice or the crunchy, And then likewise, when I got older, I needed distance glasses for driving. The yellow lenses, I said to my optician, can I have yellow lenses? Looked at me a bit weird. I said, honestly, like sportsmen, like Tour de France. They wear yellow lenses, and I'm sure it's a sporty thing. I told myself it was a sporty thing. But more recently, I was assessed and tested.
I had a very similar experience when I'd done my GCSEs, because I couldn't look at when I looked at white, the letters would jump around a lot. And I couldn't understand why. And then I put this rosé overlay on top of it, and everything just calmed.
Perfect.
So it was very similar.
Same thing for my grandson.
I have to have my screen tinted rosé. So it's very similar.
Amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Over to you, Nick.
I was just going to say it's a Stoke thing, but it's probably not the right point.
No, it's not. It's a special thing.
Yeah.
So
special people.
You've now been enticed to this new job. Where does that take you to? Because there's going to be a point where Donna goes from the travel skiing machine that she obviously was back then, to now the aromatherapist genius that she is now. I'm trying to find that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so the link is my mum. Actually,
okay.
So I touched on that. I flew to New Zealand because she had breast cancer.
Yeah.
She came back to the UK and she was in the Royal Surrey County Hospital in Guildford. And you think my mum's been gone 23 years. So back then, this would really been very pioneering. The Royal Surrey County actually had a healthcare centre within it for cancer patients called the Fountain Centre.
Oh, wow.
My mum had gone down for a liver biopsy, and somebody put a little postcard on the end of her bed offering her Reiki, which is an energy treatment.
Now, not to be confused with Raki.
No.
From like Greek islands and stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, the hilarious thing, Nick, is my mum came back from her liver biopsy and said, someone's offered me this Raki business. And you didn't know that about me. So that's...
No, I got offered that when I was in Greece, and I don't remember much after it, so yes.
So
definitely not the same.
She said to me, I don't know, sounds a bit hooba-looba, really, you know. And my mum was young, she'd have her hair shaved up at the back, short spiky hair, beautiful nails, and she was a head receptionist for BAA, and she took a lot of pride in how she took care of herself. And she said, I'm not sure, it sounds a bit hoobaloo. And I said, well, why don't I come with you if you'd like me to? So that they probably won't let me in the room, but I'll come and sit in the waiting room. So that's what we did. And this bit, I still get emotional. So I observed 4 or 5 people coming through a double door into the waiting area. And then each of those patients would disappear behind a therapy room door. Now, most of them were just gone for half an hour because they'd already had their initial consultation. For my mum, it was her first time. So she was gone for the whole hour.
Yeah.
So let's say there was 4 doors. So I saw a rotation of 6 people. My mum was in, I can't add up. Yeah, of all the doors, people were coming in and out. But one thing I observed, and I wasn't prepared for, was that I could see how sick and poorly they were when they went through the door. But when they came out, oh my God, they were taller, lighter and brighter. Yeah. And I was absolutely moved to tears. It was one of those life-changing moments.
And you'd had no concept of what Reiki was before this point?
I had, when you turn 18 and you could get the K's catalogue and the Grattan catalogue, and you could join Reader's Digest and you could get 4 or 5 books for like 50p each. Do you remember that? Well, when I turned 18, I got the Reader's Digest subscription because I wanted the Reiki book. I wanted a reflexology book. So there was an interest there, but I hadn't pursued it. I'd sort of fallen into the airline world, really. And so going back to when those people came out, I was so moved. I couldn't contain myself. I actually was a bit, quite sobbing, and my face was all red and blotchy, and my nose was like double the size spread across my face. It was, and she came out, she just looked at me, she said, whatever's the matter with you, dear? She said, I'm the one with cancer, you know. So I cried and gave her a hug, and I remember just sobbing into her shoulder, saying, now I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. And she just looked at me really weirdly because she'd had her experience and felt good, but she hadn't seen what I'd seen or felt what I'd felt. Yeah. So I then went home. We had to stop a few times. Mum was a bit sick on the way home. But I got home. I phoned my local college. I was on maternity leave at the time. And they'd just closed the window. I'd missed the enrolment for that year, and the college course the Holistic Therapies College course, I thought, I'm going to do this, was oversubscribed and closed the year. And I wasn't satisfied. This is back in dial-up days. So I switched my phone fax off because you couldn't have both running,
Obviously,
could you?
yeah.
Obviously,
Unplug it. Yeah.
I dialed up on my computer to find out who the course director was. So back then it wasn't Google. I think it was Ask Jeeves or something.
Ask Jeeves.
Jeeves knew everything. I mean, he didn't really. He was useless. But at the time, it was so much more advanced than anything else that we had.
It was.
Yeah.
So I found out who the course director was. And then, this is embarrassing. I don't know if I should say this.
You definitely have to. Yeah.
So I phoned back and put on a different voice. I phoned back over lunchtime because I couldn't get past the receptionist because the course was full. And I phoned up and I asked to speak to Vanita Beckford. No, Jenny Alsford. Jenny Alsford. And she said, is she expecting your call? And I lied and said yes. But I can't do that because as soon as I got through to her, I was riddled with guilt. And I was like, hi, Jenny. My name's Donna. My sincere apologies. And I confessed straight away that I'd manipulated my way through. No, I've been creative, not manipulated, creative. And she said, so tell me a little bit about the situation. And she said, are you free at 3:00 this afternoon? I was home alone with my daughter. Mm-hmm. And I said, yes. Didn't know who was going to look after at this point. I just said yes. I'm worried about the how.
Yeah. That's the Richard Branson theory, isn't it?
Say yes.
Yeah, just say yes and work out the detail afterwards.
Exactly. So I popped up the hill to my lovely neighbour who was in her 80s, who loved being around a little one. And she used to come and have coffee regularly and things. And I just said, is there any chance you could look after Sean for a few hours? And she said, yeah, she'll be down for a nap anyway. She wakes up with puzzles and things. So I went and met Jenny. And she took me up to the training suite. And she said, so tell me, what made you get creative and get past the reception? And so she was trying to dig what it was underneath that. And I told her the story about what happened the day before at the hospital. And she just put her hand forward and she shook my hand and she said, congratulations, you've got the 21st place on a course of 20.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm going to have to just take you back for this one.
Okay.
Just for those uneducated listeners that we've got, I mean, obviously, I'm sure they're all super educated.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, I'm not. I'm just, basically, there's no mirror, so I can't look at me. Can you explain what Reiki is?
Yeah. I think the easiest way for me to describe it is it's universal energy that we have all got access to. But it's a bit like tuning into a radio station. So when you're between stations, you get the static. But when you tune in, you get the free flow of music in sound terms, but energy also is an energy and flows. So Reiki is holding the intention to send love to somebody. So there's no religion associated with it. And that's why I was drawn to it. It's about being kind and sending love and healing and holding somebody in that safe space for whatever period of time you're sending. It's Reiki.
Wow. There we go.
Incredible.
Now we know.
I've been to Donna for Reiki a couple of times and it is you can't even explain it. You have to actually experience it. It's incredible. It's very healing, very uplifting, very light. Yeah, it's amazing. It's
very gentle and peaceful.
Yeah.
And I would use the word stillness, actually. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, so you've now
become
on
the course,
the 21st enrollee on the course of 20.
Yeah.
Which obviously sounds also like, your mates go to the pub and you go to get a job.
Yeah.
And then
there's kind of a pattern here now.
They come back with a bit of a buzz for the wrong reasons and Donna's buzzing because she's just got a job.
Yeah.
So, okay. So
I didn't have to work my notice either. They were happy to let me go. I started on the Monday.
So how long was the course?
The course was a year.
Okay.
And in that we studied anatomy and physiology because you have to know about the bones, the muscles, ligaments, tendons and fascia. And then we had Swedish massage training because that's the basis of all massage. You can't qualify in anything else until you've got the base of Swedish. And aromatherapy massage, which is where I learned my passion for the oils. And it's not a complete surprise, actually, because I was that child that go pick rose petals and try and make rose perfume in my kitchen, my parents' kitchen or in the bathroom. So I was always mixing and blending stuff as a child. I wasn't very good at the sciences. I loved biology. I was brilliant at biology, but the physics and the chemistry, I really struggled with the mathematical elements of that. My brain just wasn't quite wired that way. But actually blending and learning about the linolols and the phenols and the chemistry of aromatherapy, I had a joy with that. And because it was something I was interested in, I was able to learn that a bit easier, if that makes sense. So aromatherapy became my go-to, really. And I just enjoy making aromatherapy oils for the individual's specific needs in that moment. So sometimes when you go and have an aromatherapy massage, and there's nothing wrong with it, but some therapists use a blend.
Yeah.
And it's a pre-blended sports massage blend or a muscle blend or a relaxation blend. But I like to get to the nitty-gritty with my clients, and we talk about what's underpinning and what's going on. And if they're feeling frustrated, then we would be using, and my brain knows this now, grapefruit oil.
Yeah.
So there's different oils for different emotions. And most people think of aromatherapy as it helping the physical. But my joy and my passion is the physical is often a representation of what's going on
and
emotionally.
That's, you know what, Nick, this is what happens. You walk into Donna's room, you sit down, you have a little discussion about how you've been feeling. And then she's got like this potion box. She opens the lid and then starts mixing. As you're talking, she knows what ones react to how you're feeling. And she gets her little bowl out and they're poured and they're mixed and she's making it in front of you. It's insane. It's amazing.
I just love it. That's where my real joy is.
Yeah.
And it's bespoking it to that person in that moment, what's going to help them the best. Then the actual physical part of the treatment of doing the reflexology or the massage sort of enhances it.
Yeah.
But really for me, the aromatherapy oils underpin everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with 2 questions for this.
Go for it, Nick.
Okay, so we'll go with the nice one first. Obviously, you
I'm
can't.
scared.
No, that's fine. Obviously, I appreciate you can't mention any patient names, and that's fine. But from your patients that you've had in the past, what is the biggest transformation you've seen?
I'm going to introduce a new subject now, Nick.
Okay.
I'd say it'd be with kinesiology.
Okay.
So kinesiology, again, is an energy treatment. We are human beings we vibrate with billions of cells. We're made of water and electricity. Our heart and our brain are electrical.
Just like in The Matrix.
I haven't seen The Matrix.
Oh, you need to see The Matrix.
Have you not?
No.
That really surprises me.
No.
Oh.
I'm not really a big movie person.
It's all about machines using us as batteries because effectively that's what we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on, carry on.
And so we call it biofeedback, and we use a muscle to check whether the body has integrity. So if I was to stand up and say, my name is Donna, my body would naturally tilt towards my toes. It would tilt forward because the body will always move towards a truth. And if I was to say my name was John, for example, I would tilt back on my heels.
On your heels.
So when you're working with a client, it's a really gentle, safe way to work. But you're asking questions. And if their arm is strong, then their integrity, their body and their systems are liking this and it's flowing easily and well. And when you ask a question and they've got no strength in their arm, it means something's interrupting the circuit. And then using lots of different questions and monitoring what's happening with the body, you can get to the underlying root cause of anything physical or emotional as well. And I had one gentleman that discreetly took me aside at a networking event and said, I've got this terrible phobia of fish. Can you help with that? And I said I could. We arranged that I would go to the fish box in Woodbridge and buy the fish because he was that terrified. And I said it's normally a one and done session. And his motivation was he'd always fished with his dad. His dad and him had always gone fishing on trips on every holiday. He was a grown-up man now. He was married and had his own family. And I don't know, he didn't tell me this, but I'm guessing that his wife was getting a bit fed up with the father-in-law coming on every holiday. But his main motivation was that he wanted to take his son fishing.
Yeah.
But he couldn't handle the fish. They were slimy. He was terrified. And his dad basically had always landed the fish and unhooked it and put it back. So he'd never handled a fish. And he asked me if I could work with that. And I said, absolutely. And he'd seen hypnotherapists, and hypno can work really well for a lot of people, but for some people it just doesn't resonate. And some people reflexology doesn't work. So I got the fish and he phoned me the night before and said, what time do you start? And I said, well, we're booked in for 9. He said, is there any chance we can do earlier? He said, I'll be awake at 6. He said, no, if I've got to wait 3 hours, I'll end up not coming. So I went in at 7:30 and we started working together. And at the end, we do something with the eyes. He has to tap and hum a tune. So we scramble the brain. And then I brought the fish in its bag on a plate into the corner of the room on a table. And then we did some more work together. And we bring it and put the fish under the couch that he was laying on. And then we did more work and lots of different steps in there. Yeah. So it took about an hour and a half. But at the end, he was holding the fish. So we had him, first of all, touch with his index finger the part of the fish, that he felt comfortable. And he was really still nervous at this, more work done. Then we got 3 or 4 fingertips on. Could he then slip his thumb underneath the fish? And then I said, do you think you can hold it? Oh, I don't know about that. That's a step too far. I said, just take a breath. And then he held it up like this. And I remember saying to him, is there anybody you'd like me to take a photo for?
Yeah.
No, I asked him, would you like me to take a photo? Oh, no. He was just keen to put the fish back down.
I can't hold it for that long.
And I said, is there anybody that you might like to show that photo to? He went, oh, God, my dad. So he picked it up without me asking him. He then went like that and presented as though he, like they do in those fishing.
Like he caught the fish.
Yeah, when they're on the bank, he's holding it with a big smile. And we had him with the hook and unhook. Because I'd asked him the deal was he bought the hook and the line, small piece of line, and I bought the fish. And I wouldn't have the fish as soon as he arrived at the centre. He's like, where's the fish? Not, hi, good morning. He's like, where's the fish? When I opened the front door
So it went from being that fearful of the fish to holding it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then his motivation was, it was coming up for half term and he wanted to take his son fishing. And he wanted to be brave, basically. And he didn't want to transfer his fear to his son.
Yeah.
So I had a lovely text from him the following week to say that he had caught and landed the fish and he'd unhooked it all by himself.
That's amazing.
I think, that's a really lovely one to share.
I don't even want to ask the other story now. I like this one.
You had 2 questions.
I'm someone at one.
Oh, wow.
And just tell us about Erlin that you said when you mentioned.
So I went to a conference and the gentleman whose conference it was, I think he'd done some training with Tony Robbins or one of those bigger American and
like a Jordan Belfort type thing.
Oh, I haven't heard of Jordan Belfort.
Everyone should hear of Jordan Belfort.
Oh, I'm going to do some research.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Donna, please.
Best salesman in the world. Anyway, go on, carry on.
He's obsessed.
And this time, this particular presenter had pyrotechnics and he had, when like boxers come on, they have their fight song.
Yeah.
Where every time he came on stage, he had his song and the bass was like churning through the chair.
That's what I need when I walk
in. We know someone who's got that with an intro.
The podcast.
No. Live events.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, Sorry, go on. Sorry, Donna, we digress.
That's okay. And this particular 3-day conference, I came away reeling from. I couldn't concentrate. My notes that I was writing weren't making sense. And I came to see a therapist who's been looking after me. I have something called cranial sacral therapy every month. And it just helps with my head pressure after the meningitis. And she said, goodness me, Donna, what the hell have you been doing? And she said, you are bouncing. So all my cerebral spinal fluid.
Wow.
Because I had this hole in my balance organ and it shakes my balance head, it makes me feel like my brain's shaking. So the surgery's been done on the right side and corrected, but I still have a hole on balance organ on my left side. So vibration really does affect me. Anyway, I came out of there absolutely reeling, put on my yellow driving glasses and it was like, beautiful drive home. Peace. It was amazing. I went to see my therapist the next day, but my whole system was still shaking from the vibration of all these fireworks and things. And she said, I think you have an overstimulation and it might be worth you going to see this lady. And she's a Stowmarket lady.
Okay.
Erlin East, I'll give them a little plug.
Okay.
And I booked my appointment and went and had an assessment. And basically, I hadn't fully realised this. She gave me a test. It was just on an A4 piece of paper and it was like a Rubik's Cube on a point coming out of the page, just black line drawing on white paper. about 45-degree angle, and she had me close my eyes. Then she put this paper in front of me, and I opened my eyes and I positively recoiled. I closed my eyes and turned my head to the right as far as I could.
I can't look at that.
Because I couldn't. And she said, "Don't worry, I'm not going to charge you for the test." She said, or for the pre-assessment. She wasn't going to charge me for the pre-assessment because clearly I was Erlen. She said, "What's happening?" I said, "All the lines at the back are fizzing." And then she gave me another little assessment where it was the alphabet on a grid of like 10 across, 10 down. And she said, "I'd like you to read horizontally, starting with the F, Donna." So an F, J, M, T, Q, and I was okay. And then she asked me to do vertically, or with my normal reading glasses. These are no coloured lenses. The vertical was absolutely shocking. I was embarrassed. It was starting with a J, for example, and it was J, Z, painfully slow.
Wow.
And I think I did she was timing, I think I did like 5 letters in 30 seconds, something like that, really. And so I had a tracking issue, vertical tracking. So I've never got on with spreadsheets. Never really been an Excel girl, shall we say. But having said that, once she then put blue tack on my lenses and gave me the yellow filter, and she chose a different letter, so I hadn't memorised.
Yeah.
And I went JMTQZ
straight
like that. And I just burst into tears. I had no idea how much my brain had struggled.
Is this something that the trauma of the meningitis caused, or could this just happen?
It can be hereditary. And for me, I've tried to unpick it all, really. I'm not actually ever going to know, because when I was 7, one of the boys in my class, as boys do, they thought it was funny to pull the chair out from under me as I was about to sit down. So my head hit the wooden chair, because I'm that old. We had wooden chairs in those days. And then it hit the tiles on the classroom floor, and I was knocked unconscious and taken off in an ambulance.
Oh.
And I was kept in hospital for 2 days for severe concussion. So a head injury can actually affect your neurological processing. So Erlen isn't an eyesight problem. It's a neurological processing disorder. But injury and trauma can actually cause Erlen. But you can also have it. It can be hereditary. But back in the day, my mum, they didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know. All I know is that when I was 12 or 13 and I skied and I put the yellow lenses on, that made a massive difference to snow. I hadn't recognised that would help me, because I never wore ski goggles in school for reading. It's not just the done thing. So my only experience of yellow was ski goggles until I needed driving glasses. And then I asked my optician, "Can I have yellow?" Because I like that. It gives me a bit of
because
perception.
I'm a sportswoman and
because I'm
really
sporty.
Cool.
But I come to this conclusion because the Tour de France riders all wore yellow lenses. That it must be a sporty thing.
Amazing. In which case, I think we've now got the summary of Donna from school to
There's so much
the
you didn't
queen
know,
of
wasn't there?
aromatherapy.
Yeah.
Donna, thank you so much for coming in.
You're
Thank
very
you,
welcome.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And for those listeners who are subscribed, you can find out exactly what we think of Donna afterwards.
Yes.
And Donna doesn't even get to hear that bit. Anyway,
no.
Donna, thank you so much for coming in.
Donna.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.